think it's that idea of, you said to me, like focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't do.
Yeah.
And then you found all these kind of new things that you can do, which you didn't necessarily know, about. So that's been wonderful, just following those passions. I think has been amazing, isn't it?
I do.
There is always hope, and you are not alone.
Welcome to Hope Survives, a podcast from the Hope Survives nonprofit supporting individuals and families navigating life with brain injury. I'm your host, Cristabelle Braden. After my own experience with traumatic brain injury, including multiple re-injuries, I've learned how isolating this road can feel and how hard it can be to find a way forward. No one should have to walk it alone. On this show, we explore the realities of life with brain injury through encouragement, thoughtful conversations, expert insights, and real stories. No matter where you are on your journey, remember, you're never alone, and hope survives. Hey friends, welcome back to Hope Survives podcast. Today we are talking about music therapy, which is something I'm very excited about. We have two wonderful guests, Serenna and Alice. Serenna is a neurologic music therapist, and Alice is one of her clients who has had a brain injury and is going to share how music therapy has helped to change the trajectory of her recovery. As some of you may know, this topic is near and dear to my heart. When I had my first TBI, I really struggled with emotions. I struggled with processing. I struggled with cognition, word finding, being able to express myself, balance, memory loss, right-sided weakness, and coordination and speech. And through all of that, I started to write music. I never wrote a song before the brain injury. And in the first couple months after I had the injury, music just started to pour out of me. And it's not something that I really remember too much because I don't remember very well the first year after my brain injury because it's kind of like spotty. The brain injury rehab was hard and I was having so much memory loss that being able to remember all the early stages, like my brain just blocked a lot of it out. But I've been told a lot of what happened, and I started to write songs and they rhymed and made sense. And my parents were like, wait, Cristabelle can't hold a conversation at the dinner table, but she's writing these songs that rhyme and make sense and are deep. Like, what is going on here? And they took it to my doctor. My doctor said that music affects the brain differently and encouraged them to go with it. And I started writing hundreds of songs. And when I first started writing music, they were just little songs about how I was feeling. It wasn't anything like the songs that I write today. But over the years, they started to become more hopeful as I started to get more hope through my journey with brain injury. And I learned guitar. Playing guitar helped me to get a lot of movement back in my right arm. I struggled with right-sided weakness and coordination. My right hand, to this day, I still have struggles playing the piano, but I'm able to. But sometimes I struggle with being able to play in rhythm. And I always have right hand finger coordination. And some of that came back from my most recent re-injury from 2024, actually. I had COVID and it caused some form of acquired brain injury, and I couldn't use my right hand for 4 months. And it was really hard to play the piano. And that was honestly a bit depressing for me. But singing has always been a big part of my recovery. And especially early on, I struggled a lot with my speech, but I wouldn't slur my speech when I sang. And I could write these songs that I wasn't able to express the emotions and express the feelings through speaking. For some reason, I could express it through singing and through songwriting. So music's been a huge part of my journey. And the Hope Survives theme song, some of you may know, I wrote that song over 10 years ago, and the nonprofit is actually named after the song, which has just been such a blessing. And I'm just so grateful. And so, yeah, music, huge part of my life, huge part of my passion, huge part of my journey. There's also something about music that can express what words alone can't. There's something special about it. And music is so good for your brain. I read something that music is the only thing that will light up every area of your brain and that uses every area of your brain, which is cool. And so when it's integrated into brain injury rehab, it can make a huge difference. So before we get into the interview, we have a spotlight from Dr. Ryan Harvey talking about auditory stimulation and music and how it can be integrated into brain injury treatment and what it can do for your brain. So let's take it over to Dr. Harvey.
So now we're going to talk about how could we use, auditory stimuli and music to help with things like brain injury, right? One of the things I love to think about when we think about music is that it really requires a lot of multi-sensory integration. And what that means is that I have to match information about what I hear and what I see and maybe time it all to a beat of the music, like a metronome. And all those systems have to be telling the brain the same thing at the same time to be able to keep up with music, right? So, in a lot of therapeutic modalities, we like to use a timed-based sequence where maybe we're doing therapies to a metronome because timing and sequencing is such a valuable piece of brain circuitry. And that's one really, really cool tool that music provides, is it provides that need to be able to keep the beat of music, right? I also think that music activates the brain in different ways than some other stimuli, right? So, you think about if you're in the movies and you have a certain song that's very like calming and soothing, it really sets the mood of everything you're seeing with your eyes. And the movie wouldn't be the same without the music, right? That's because it's a multi-sensory experience, right? I'm seeing something and I have this image in my head, and then the music helps interlay these multi-sensory integration, right? And so I always imagine, what would a movie be like if the music wasn't there? And it's not the same, right? And that's what's really, really cool, is that that's part of that same type of multi-sensory processing. So I think music therapy can be super, super valuable for patients with brain injury, because sometimes if you're a patient that can't handle a lot of visual stimulation, maybe you can't handle a bunch of sensory stimulation and your balance is problematic, sometimes music is a great window into stimulating the brain in a way that's really therapeutic for you. And it's a stimuli that your brain can handle in a therapeutic dose, where some of the other types of stimulation or some of the other therapeutic modalities aren't a great fit for you. So I think that's a great way and a great window into stimulating the brain in a therapeutic way without overstimulating someone that's already sensitive to some of the other modalities that are out there. I think these are all great ways to think about how can we use music in brain injury, and does it have a place? And I absolutely think it does, which is awesome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harvey, for sharing those insights. Dr. Harvey is from the Functional Neurology Center, and we are so grateful to the Functional Neurology Center for their sponsorship of Hope Survives. They are so supportive of the brain injury community and wanting everybody to be able to find hope and move forward through brain injury. And that's seen through their sponsorship of our programs, our resources, and this podcast. We are so grateful to be able to offer these kinds of things at no cost to the brain injury community, largely thanks to their sponsorship. The FNC is a wonderful clinic that offers personalized neuro recovery programs for anyone going through brain injury and a wide range of neurological conditions. When you trust your brain to the team at the Functional Neurology Center, they take the time to get to know the whole you so they can personalize your recovery program for your unique and complex condition. There is hope for a better tomorrow, and the FNC is committed to helping you get back to what matters most. Visit thefnc.com for more. And now I'm going to introduce today's special guests. So Alice lives in a beautiful area in the southeast of England. She experienced a life-changing injury in June 2020 when she was knocked off her bicycle, which led to an extended time of recovery in the hospital. With the support of wonderful family and friends, she has rebuilt a full and rewarding life after her brain injury. She loves music, and listening and playing have been a very important part of her recovery. And you will be able to hear some of her story from her. We also have Serenna Wagner, who is the director of This Inner Voice Music Therapy, which is available at thisinnervoice.com. Serenna is a neurologic music therapist, opera singer, and researcher based in Oxford in the UK. She is absolutely passionate about bringing both the beauty and therapeutic power of music to the clients she works with. Serenna specializes in rehabilitating speech and communication through singing-based interventions. She works with those who face challenges owing to the neurologic injury or disease, aiming to promote meaningful progress as a powerful and simultaneously enjoyable and enriching part of the rehabilitation process. So excited to introduce you to both Serenna and Alice. We could have talked for so much longer. They are lovely, and I so enjoyed this conversation, and I'm so excited to share it with you today. So let's get into today's interview. Thank you so much for listening and being part of the Hope Survives community. I am here today with Serenna and Alice, and we are going to talk about music therapy. Thank you both for coming on Hope Survives podcast today.
Fine, and we're happy to be here.
We are very happy. Thank you for having us.
So to start out, can you each briefly introduce yourself and what brings you here to the podcast?
Of course.
Who's us now?
Yeah. I'm Alice, and 5.5 years ago, or a bit more, I was unfortunately knocked off my bike near where I lived, and luckily a doctor was driving his car with his wife behind me, and immediately, rather than me go on an ambulance, because I would have gone, he called me a helicopter, and I went onto the helicopter to the hospital, and that saved my life. I've never felt happier than I do now, because I feel like I've been through the worst things ever, but now I'm at a point where I can talk properly. I can start to help other people that have been through something.
Yeah, lovely to be here. I'm Serenna, and I met Al through music therapy. So I was just looking up actually this morning when we first met, because I'm not very good at dates. So it was October 2022, and that's when we first met each other. And that was then I was working as a neurologic music therapist, helping Al at that stage just kind of to get some of her functions back. So we were working on her memory, and we were working on her fine motor skills, and we were working on her remembering her extended family members' names and decision making and fatigue and all sorts of things we sort of were working on together when we first met. And then things evolved quite quickly to the point where when I first met Al, she would largely be participating quite passively, so sort of, resting and perhaps joining in a little bit. And then over time, Al became more and more involved in the actual playing, to the point where we have now sort of embarked on just almost regular piano lessons.
Which I love. It's something that I'm learning from scratch, and I've never been so happy to learn something from scratch as I am on my piano.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? We were just saying how it's incredible to see your progress, the years we've been working together, from that first time where we kind of, I said, you could do kind of 30 seconds of playing, and you managed to get through a line, and we kind of labeled the notes on the keys, we labeled the notes on the music, and I was saying the notes, and we managed to get through a little tiny bit, and then gradually over time you've progressed to the point where you've been able to give a little recital for your family, and you've taken a music exam, like a proper music exam, and everything. So it's been amazing. Sorry, we feel like we're talking at you a bit here, Cristabelle.
No, this is great. I love hearing this and your relationship and how it's evolved. And Alice, thank you for sharing some of your story. I know our listeners can relate to having to learn things all over again and having to redirect your life into a new way.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I've been through, because my life from where I used to be is very different, but I've never felt happier than I do right now.
That is beautiful. I'm sure it was a process to get there.
It was, but luckily I'm through the hardest things, the things that I can't remember. Good. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I think
I was on a wheelchair for a while. I can't remember any of that.
No.
Which is a beneficial that I can't remember.
But I think we were saying earlier that it's been your sheer determination. I mean, Al's just been so passionate about recovering and has taken so many steps. And I often think the process of learning something like the piano, sort of, there's a parallel with the recovery sort of journey, as it were, because you're taking tiny steps all the time, and you can't necessarily see immediate benefits, but it's the process of sort of hanging in there and just kind of doing a little bit each day, and then before you know it, we were just joking that if I could just show you some music, Cristabelle, we kind of started off when Al gave her first sort of recital. I don't know if you can see the music on the screen there, but that's kind of the level we were working at.
Can you describe it audio for those who are listening without the video?
What we're showing is just one line of music in the treble clef, and we've got one little note in the bass clef there. And that's one of the pieces we played at the initial recital. And so now what we're working on at present is this piece of music. And as you can see, the level of complexity there, we have sharps in the key signature. We've got both hands doing all kinds of things, much more complex rhythms. And really the cognitive demand on the brain to play a piano is absolutely tremendous when you think about it, Cristabelle, as I'm sure you know, because you're a musician yourself, aren't you? I mean, it's the fact that you're sort of reading notes in one hand, and then the other hand's got to read completely different notes that look the same, and then you've got to think about a beat, and then you've got to think about rhythm, and then you've got to think about articulation, and then you've got to think about the key signature and the speed, and quite possibly the pedaling, and then maybe playing with someone else and taking into account what they're doing. It's absolutely phenomenal, the demand on the brain, which is why it's a tremendous thing that Al is being able to do here, to master the piano in the way that she has done, to be able to pass exams and things. It's absolutely inspiring.
That's so beautiful. And music is so good for the brain and can promote neuroplasticity, and there's so many wonderful benefits to music. So Serenna, can you introduce a little bit about what music therapy is and how it can help brain injury?
Yeah, so in its sort of broadest sense, it's using music as a modality to help people to recover in whatever way that means for them. So if you're doing psychodynamic music therapy, so in this country, we all train in psychodynamic, and that's where you're learning how to relate to people in music. So almost talk to them through music, because many of our clients are non-speaking. And so having that ability to be able to communicate just through music is absolutely amazing. And you're building, relationships and connections and so on. And then we also do neurologic music therapy, which I don't know how well known that is in your field. I mean, I know in America, I consider that they're very, advanced with neurologic music therapy. And that's these 20 sort of specific standardized techniques that we use, where you're really, taking different elements of music and using them to sort of, manipulate, but in a nice way, at the activity in the brain, and trying to sort of activate certain areas simultaneously or you're trying to join up the hemispheres of the brain. And sometimes you're trying to circumvent damaged networks. So, we do a lot of helping people to speak again, but through singing. And in fact, that's what first kind of got me into music therapy, because I trained as a singer originally. And then when I saw videos of people learning how to talk again, so there's a technique called melodic intonation therapy that's very good with stroke, especially, where you set little phases to music and you get from singing eventually back to speech. And you can really circumvent the bit that's not working in speech, because you would think that speech and singing are in the same part of the brain, but they're not, which is absolutely amazing that singing could be used in that way. So, as I say, there's 20 techniques, there's quite a lot there, but I think it's really important to make people aware that music therapy can be used for things that are nothing to do with music. It's a modality, it's a vehicle for promoting progress and positive changes, both functional things and of course psychological things. And a big part of it for Al is the psychology of it, because she gets so much pleasure and enjoyment from music, don't you? I mean, often as soon as we hit the keys, we're sort of almost ecstatic at times when we're playing together. We're always giggling, aren't we?
Well,
Because we're just
I think so as well, because I love the fact that music is something I'm learning from scratch, and actually being able to play from this, which I'm looking at, helps me, because my long-term plan is that I'm going to learn all the notes and not have to write them down before I play them. That's my long-term plan. I want to get to that point. But I think that music is probably the longest thing you learn. Piano is the hardest thing, but actually I don't care, because it's a great chance for me to get away from everything else and actually get better at playing. And that's what I love now.
And you love it. You enjoy the active practicing, don't you? And it's not always easy, though, is it? And sometimes you'll send me a message saying, "Oh, this has gone a bit wrong. Can you help me?" And but we sort it out, don't we, very quickly. And it's wonderful.
I think as well that having someone that really can teach you and train you is so key, because actually learning the piano is the thing that's really helped me move up. And without someone that can sort of train you, it wouldn't be right. So I'm so happy.
Thanks, Buffy. You have a
Thank you for sharing that. We talk a lot about on the podcast how recovery from brain injury, there's the neurological side, but Serenna, I know you brought up the psychological side, and we talk about how at Hope Survives, we talk about how brain injury recovery takes the whole person, that there's the physical health, the mental health, the emotional health, and the spiritual health. And Alice, in your journey through brain injury, how has music, or in general, in your last 5.5 years of living with this injury, how have you seen growth in all those different areas? And how has music maybe helped you to find that?
Because I listen to music. I never have silence apart from when I go to sleep at night. In the morning, I put music on for having my breakfast. Then I follow the day that I've planned the night before. And it's always either talking to someone, listening to music, or playing my piano, or walking my dog. I think music is amazing. And I don't know if it's because when I've got no memory of hospital, but my big bro Tommy, he had the music playing for me the whole time I was lying there with no memory. I think that's why I love music so much now.
I think music's always been a massive part of your family,
huge,
isn't it? So your family are all really musical, like they're all amazing, aren't they, at music and play and sing and so on. So I think it's a wonderful thing. But I think you find it's very sort of uplifting and motivating at times, don't you?
Exactly. I don't need to. Whenever I listen to music, it makes me instantly happy.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know any music that I've listened to that makes me sad. Everything I love gives me so much joy and happiness.
And I think there's a big part of that in music therapy, especially I'm thinking now maybe of people that I've worked with that have had difficulties where they're having physiotherapy and things like that, because we can joint work with other therapists. And it's amazing how if you join up, say, with a physio, somebody's needing to do some exercise that might be a bit sort of boring or painful or difficult, you can obviously harness that, effect that Alice was describing, that powerful, the endorphins and the pleasure and everything, to motivate someone to continue with something, for a little bit longer, and to help them through something that might be difficult or repetitive or whatever. I've sometimes written, I like writing songs for clients, and one of my clients, we were trying to help him do quite a boring little movement with his heel. He needed to push down his heel. He needs to do this practice every day. And, just doing that's a bit boring. And he didn't know if he was doing it correctly. And the physio said, you must do this in order to be able to be in your standing frame for longer. So it's a gentleman that had a brain injury and was long-term in a wheelchair. And this particular chap was very into football, and there was a particular team that he loved. So I just wrote a song that encouraged him to score a goal. And the goal meant that he pressed down, and he would press down and activate a drum with a drum pad, sort of pedal, as it were. And he would know he'd done the move because he could hear the drum. And of course, the song was cheering him on and saying goal all the time he scored, kind of thing. And so things like that, which using people's interests and combining with the sort of exciting power of music, and then sort of putting it into a sort of intervention specially designed for an exact movement he was meant to be doing. It just sort of made something that was potentially boring possible to practice each day, because he was practicing his goal song. So it's nice to find those imaginative ways of using music. I mean, that sort of thing doesn't apply so much to Al these days, because she's learning the piano in the conventional way. We're not doing anything different to what we do conventionally. But yeah, so different clients have different sort of uses for music.
I love that, Serenna. You're so creative. I love that you're writing your clients' songs and helping them with their other goals in brain injury, right? Because so many times our treatments become isolated or done in silo, and we're a whole person. And the more that we can integrate the different aspects of recovery, the more improvement that we're going to see, and the more our brain is going to be able to rewire and to find those new pathways. So
and I think that kind of joined up thinking with the team is so important. And music can kind of join up a team, I think, quite often. If you work with each team member, you can devise things that will, have carryover rather than just we're doing our little thing here. Someone's working on a certain thing in speech and language. Why not put that in a song and use it? So, yeah.
So, Alice, when you first started music therapy, now you're learning piano, but what kind of things did you do when you first started?
What, on the piano or?
In general.
It's interesting because I've got no memory for the first year.
Okay.
And then I've got a small memory, and then it came back to full memory, and now I can remember everything. My plan now is to get even better every single day than where I'm at today. So that's improvement all the time. And the best way of doing that is learning something from scratch and being like, I've got a little doggy Poppy, but being her mum. I'm never going to have a child with any guy, but Poppy's like my daughter. So I just want to, whenever I meet a bloke, he needs to learn to love me, Poppy, and music.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want a guy just like silence all the time.
No, I don't really like the piano. Well, off you go then.
Yeah, see you later. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm part of a lovely family. I've got amazing friends. I used to have a very good job, and now I'm at the point where I want to give my time and energy to help other people, but I don't know sort of what my job can be, but that's what I want to do now, is just not work all the time, but actually just give my time and attention to help other people that need help.
But this is exactly what you're doing right now. This is the first time we've really done anything like this. You know, it's quite a big step today, which is wonderful, isn't it? We've been looking forward to it. It is a big step.
Yeah, massive.
But you are helping other people.
Yeah.
That's absolutely for sure. Because I love hearing your story about music and how it's helped you, and someone else might feel inspired to you know, have music therapy or maybe take up an instrument. And I think you know, it can be hard when the progress is quite slow, and some weeks it can be like that, but then when you see that tremendous progress you've made over time, it's exciting to see that, isn't it?
That's the thing. And if anyone needs to talk to me, I want to speak to people that have been through something horrendous and help them get back to an even better place.
Yeah, because you'll understand you've got actual experience.
That's the thing, because I think now my life is quite different to what it used to be, but I've never been so happy with all the new things that I'm now learning to do.
Yeah, because Al is a very busy program. She's doing all sorts of things. You're doing flower arranging, which she makes these. You love flowers, don't you, darling? You've got this beautiful flower arrangements every week. It's like a new, fantastic creation. You've been learning the language. You've been doing all sorts of lovely
things. That's the thing, is I think life is about enjoying yourself. I've never felt so happy as I do now. And it's like, I think as well, it's interesting because everyone, all my family, all my friends that have been around know more than I do, but no one has ever said anything wrong to me. So I want to be there for them and be the best person I can be.
That's beautiful, Alice. And it sounds like creativity is a big thing for you, being creative in many different ways. And I love how creativity can help your brain to heal, because it does help you to form those new pathways. And creativity, it sounds like it's quite motivating for you to be able to work on a song and have a result, or to learn a new chord, or to create a new flower arrangement, or whatever that creativity looks like, that helps you to keep going forward. So I love that. We are going to share your video of you both playing the Drunken Sailor folk song. And so can you explain a little bit, Serenna, introduce the video for us?
Sure. So we played last week, we recorded a little bit of the Drunken Sailor, which is a very special song for us, because Alice learned how to play that as part of her very first piano exam that we were telling you about. And in fact, I bought her certificate just to show, because this is you're so proud of, I'm just showing you her wonderful piano grade certificate, which, you know, Alice did the proper exam. We didn't have any kind of special anything. We went and did it all, didn't we, on a different piano with a proper examiner and everything. We went in person. It was amazing. And it was that day, it was just like everything came together. It all went beautifully, because Al had to do not only the pieces, but play scales, arpeggios. She got, you know, full marks on the oral tests, you know, for listening and singing back little tunes and things like that. So it's very special, the Drunken Sailor, because that was, you know, you wanted to do an exam, you wanted to do something, have something challenging and ambitious to aim for, and we made it happen, and that was tremendous.
That's it. And also, when we did that, I was playing on a proper piano, and it blew my mind. And that's exactly why I now have a beautiful, proper piano that sounds amazing every time I play. It's so much nicer.
I know, it's gorgeous, because Al started on an electric piano, which was lovely and very good. But, you know, you don't know necessarily if you're going to be that into it that you want to get the full thing. But then when we went for the exam and she played on the real piano, Al was like,
yeah,
you need balance in my life. And we were like, yes, the time is coming.
Yeah.
And then you got this beautiful instrument, and it's just
so
nice.
lovely. I love playing my piano because it sounds so much better.
Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to go ahead and play that clip here now for everyone to be able to hear and enjoy. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. As we're getting ready to close here, we ask all of our podcast guests, what are your final words of hope for our listeners? So would each of you share that?
I think mine is understand what you've been through and where you're at now, and then use your ability to share with lots of people and help people that aren't quite right yet.
We also talked the other week about the idea of following your bliss, didn't we? Like, find what it is that you love. And, focus on that. You said that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Really focus on what you're
really good at.
and enjoy it.
And that's what I'm doing now. And I've never done all these different things, and I've got a bit more time on my hands now. And now I get to enjoy myself all the time.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I think it's that idea of, you said to me, like, focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't do.
Yeah.
And then you found all these kind of new things that you can do, which you didn't necessarily know, about. So that's been wonderful, just following those passions. I think has been amazing, isn't it?
I do.
And finding something new is so beautiful after brain injury, because life can feel very new and different. But I always try to encourage people, different doesn't mean bad, it just means different. So being able to find new passions, new creative outlets, and you, Alice, are a beautiful example of that, and learning what new passions you can find after brain injury. I can relate to you. Music came to me after my brain injury as well, which I can share with you a little off podcast. But I just want to thank you both for being here, for spending your time with us. And Alice, you mentioned that you listen to the podcast, so you'll be able to see yourself on it very soon. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, we would love if you would consider leaving us a rating or a review. We are so grateful to be able to provide this support for the brain injury community. And if you would like to get connected, please visit hopesurvives.org.